Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Leboff, and joining me, as always, are Nick Martin and Tim Kalinowski. And together, the three of us are going to break down the Western Conference Final plus Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. We just wrapped Game 1 with the Panthers winning 3-0 against the Rangers at MSG on Wednesday night. Game 2 will be Friday, but we'll start with the Oilers and Stars. We'll set it up. We'll do some series, big picture stuff, and then drill down on Game 1 if we have anything there. The Oilers are a plus 104 underdog in the series. Stars minus 125. They start the series at home, and Game 1 line pretty close to reflecting that, minus 128 on Dallas, plus 106 on Edmonton, total 6.5. I think that these, first of all, there's lineup stuff I guess we should get to right away, which is Jake Ottinger left practice today. He was sick. But Peter DeBoer said he should be fine for Game 1, but just keep an eye on that. We have no idea about Rupe Hintz. I suspect his hand is broken. I don't know anything, but it just sounds like it because they're really talking about the way he's skating, and he's skating hard, but he's skating on his own. And you can skate, you don't need your hands to skate, so you can skate as hard as he wants and stay as conditioned as he wants. But if your hand is broken, you're not going to be able to play, at least for now. The Oilers, we kind of talked about it, a lot in their series with the Canucks. I would say that most of their team looks a little banged up. They're important players outside of Evan Bouchard. I think he maybe looks healthier than ever with the way he's going. But that's that. And the other thing, Nick, I wanted to say about this series and the way it's priced is the way people were talking about the Stars playing either Vancouver or Edmonton during like Game 6 and 7. And everyone was like, wow, the Stars are just going to mop the floor with these guys. I would think a lot of people were probably surprised to see how the series was priced then, because it's a lot closer than that narrative would suggest. And I don't disagree with it being this close. I think that this series is going to be a little trickier than most people think for Dallas.
Yeah, I think so. And even still, with that said, I still think the Stars are minus 125 to win the series. I still think that's a reasonable play. I actually like that, but some of the people, like I'm having people ask me if the Oilers are, or if the Stars are going to win in 4 or 5. And I think it seems like the narrative's getting taken really far. Feels like the centerpiece in a lot of people's argument is that the Oilers struggled to get through the Canucks in 7 and that they came through a much softer path, which they obviously did. But they also, I think people are sleeping on the Kings were a pretty damn good even strength team this year. And the Oilers got through them in 5. And I think that Canucks series never should have gone to 7 games. And part of that was because Skinner was so horrible, which is going to be the big thing that kind of determines how the series goes. Because, like, what is the goaltending disparity ultimately going to end up being? I think that's kind of going to be the big swing point. But you look at the Oilers' overall process, they could have easily won faster. And then the thing is, I think people, while obviously if I had to bet on one goalie being better, I'd be betting on Edinger, no question. But, I mean, goaltending is pretty volatile. And Skinner and Edinger put up nearly identical splits this year. They both had like a plus 2.0 goal saved above expected. So I think you should expect Edinger to be better, but I don't think it's like a lock. So that's another reason you probably don't want to just go crazy pounding the Stars to win this. So, I mean, there's a lot of things at play. And then obviously the Hintz thing is pretty important too. Yeah, the Stars have way better depth. They have 2 defense pairings that are playing kind of at the level of that Ekholm-Bouchard pairing, and a top 9, which is much more effective, which is why I do like them. But as someone who's loved the Stars all playoff long, I think some of the talk entering the series is getting a little out of hand with really just giving the Oilers no credit.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at, Nick, is when you break it down, let's just like do it like this. Okay, top end skill, advantage Edmonton. Depth, advantage Dallas. Defense, advantage Dallas. Goalie, I would say advantage Dallas. You said it's volatile, but we would take Ottinger over Skinner. And then special teams, Edmonton, that power play. So what's hard is, although Dallas checks a ton of boxes, the great equalizer is Edmonton's skill, and obviously that power play, which is clicking at a 37.5% in the playoffs. So. And that we know that can win you a lot of games and get you very far. So that is what has given me the most difficulty in handicapping this, is like, what is, you can, like I said, give the advantages to team A and team B all you want. But at the end of the day, like one of them doesn't always win out, right? There's no like, oh, if you have a good power play, it means you win Stanley Cup. If you're deep, that means you win Stanley Cup. So that's why I think that it's a hard handicap and kind of like a matchup of styles. And so I'm going back to, for my first play here, my going back to the well with over 5.5 games minus. I took it minus 188. It said on Green Dot Daily. I would take it to. There's minus 190s out there. I would take that. I think we're going more than 5.5 games here. Nick, you said it. It's kind of surprising how strong the sentiment is on Dallas, but I think Edmonton's getting at least a game or two, even if you think it is Dallas, based on the top end skill and the special teams answering the call. And also too, Colorado still took care of their business on the power play against Dallas and was able to push it. Like, you could say that the Stars shut down Colorado's top guys, but another level is, or equal level or whatever you want to call it. Draisaitl McDavid's it's another tough beast to slay.
Yeah. And to that point, like this matchup, it doesn't have the same, I guess you could say like the goaltending matchup is it's very different from the Rangers and Panthers series, but it feels similar, right? You're just like counting on one team to win games in moments with moments of brilliance and the other team to wear you down and with the depth and the physicality, etc. And those two styles, when they contrast, like sometimes can spit out surprising results. And I thought I was going to get a much better number to bet Edmonton because as that Game 7 was going on, I was like, you see look ahead prices throughout the series. Like there were prices on Oilers or Canucks, both Oilers and Canucks against Stars before even Game 7, and I was like, wow, I think that the Stars line is going to take a bunch of action, and it just hasn't yet. Now, maybe they're tomorrow morning we see it, but I thought I was going to get a better number on Edmonton and not getting it anymore. So I like you, Nick. Like I would think that the Stars at this point, if you're getting minus 125 or better, probably the right play. And it's hard to find the ton of value on the props here because of the presence of McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, etc. But I do think Draisaitl continues to be a little overlooked in those markets, like most goals, etc.
Yeah, the one that I thought was interesting and kind of fun, given my belief that maybe the Oilers kind of surprise and can be sneaky, and I think it works out well with the status of Hintz. It works out well with the trend of teams coming off Game 7 wins versus heavily rested opponents faring really good. You can bet the Oilers to win Game 1 and lose the series at plus 475. I think that's kind of a fun sprinkle. Game 1's, I think sometimes you see kind of a feeling out, kind of a weird, different game than the rest of the series. So I think that's kind of fun. There wasn't too many that I loved. I thought the player ones were kind of tough. I agree. Draisaitl seems like a reasonable look. I should have double checked if they posted a similar line on him to score goals versus McDavid, because that one never seemed like a sweat at all. But yeah, I did like that Oilers look. And I do think overall part of it, the Oilers, I mean, their underlying process was still quite good. Maybe some of the lines are tied up with liability too with the Oilers. But then the other thing is when you look at just the whole overall season, the Oilers did have such strong underlying results and really, I think, got their power rating quite high with most sports books. So I feel like there's some value with the Stars at minus 125, but it also feels like people are getting a little crazy with the Oilers hate here. I mean, and everyone's talking so much about the depth. The Oilers are never, ever going to be a team that wins on depth. Like the depth has worked out to be worse than anyone probably thought it would be. It's going to be a huge loss, but they're also going to have McDavid and Draisaitl playing 30 minutes a night. And if they both play the way they're capable of, that's going to offer a humongous edge. So it almost feels like that very obvious point is getting thrown out the window a little bit too much.
Yeah, and with no Roope Hintz, like you talk depth, does Dallas like have enough at the top of the lineup to match up with those guys? Like I said, with Hintz obviously being a big hole. Unfortunately, Nick, that Draisaitl versus McDavid, Draisaitl is now favored minus 130 in the head-to-head going into this matchup. I don't know if you still like the 130 or not, but is what it is. Do you like it?
I don't hate it. I don't think I'd do it for something you get a I don't know. That's probably just about break even. I just feel like
I
everyone just takes away, like McDavid just wants to draw guys to him and then open it up, and Dry's just sitting there. And it feels like we've seen this 2 playoffs in a row that they're not going to score goals at a comparable rate. Um, I don't know.
I went deep prop hunting in this matchup. I'll give one to you. Heiskanen 45-1 on FanDuel to lead the series in points. He is Dallas's top point getter. It's funny, his average time on ice because of the overtimes, it's 28 minutes. 28
Amazing.
minutes average.
crazy.
The guy doesn't come off the ice, like I said, leads Dallas in points by 1. And if you think it's Dallas, you know, a lot of goals will come from an assist from Heiskanen and maybe goes off of his stick as well. So I don't like that. I don't mind that for a long shot. I also, Nick, your guy, I like on FanDuel, Marchment over 3 goals in the series. It's plus 700 or 3+ goals. I like that as well. He's been going to be playing more minutes with no hints. And we talk about depth. That's, I think, a matchup that plays well into Marchment's hands. Yeah, I think he should own the lower lines in Edmonton's lineup. And then one more. I wonder if you got what you guys think. If you don't have any Dallas love yet or something like that, you can get Heiskanen to win the Conn Smythe at 12-1.
Yeah, so this is what I was going to bring up, Tim, because I'm personally pissed looking at those odds because we gave this out at 75-1,
Right.
and I have a really good position on this, and I'm grumpy looking at the way it's priced.
Yeah, because of Ottinger.
Yeah, because I truly think at this point, Heiskanen has been more valuable. I think it's more likely that you could put Scott Wedgwood into the net. And I think you could fare in that situation better than if you took Heiskanen out and just played your 7th defenseman or actually played Lundqvist some minutes or whatever that meant. I think it'd be actually more likely they'd be here with Wedgwood. It's splitting hairs, but I was actually kind of grumpy about that. And I don't know, like I feel like obviously they have some read into the votership. I don't know. Maybe I'm scared after seeing those Jack Adams votes, which I thought were a train wreck. They were just giving out lifetime achievement awards. So I like it, Tim, and I like feel like I agree with you because I think he's too long of a number, but I also, who knows if they see it that way. It seems very clear that he's been extremely valuable in every area of the ice. He has the most
you're basically
points.
saying I can't explain why that's 12-1. And
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like
if I can't
him and
explain
Ettinger
why,
should
it
be
must
like
be.
splitting it, I guess. Right?
I don't even think
I
so.
could
I
live
think
with
that Ottinger should be it. Heiskanen should be the favorite of any
thought
star.
he was not even playing good 4
I
games
know.
in the Vegas series.
I
Now
know.
he's like he has obviously played good from that point on, but Heiskanen's just been so good that
Yeah.
I think it's a little frustrating to see that he's not getting a little more credit.
The only other player I think is considerable in the Conn Smythe market right now too in the series is Zach Hyman. Like it's tough.
I hope not.
I
hope
know, but
not.
it's like at the price, like he's 50-1, he's leading the playoffs in goals. Like,
but everyone knows he's not
I know.
the one doing anything.
But if
he grew up rich.
and he grew up rich,
yeah, I'm not trying
I think you'd have to say like he'd have to score a couple big ones and probably beat Draisaitl. The Oilers have to win the cup. He'd have to beat Draisaitl by like 2 or 3 at least. I get it.
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
don't
There's
know.
a lot
I just
there,
feel like
but
it's so clear that he's just the third wheel. Like he's important, but those two are
he'd
they're
have
the
to,
guys.
like I said, he'd have to lead.
I'd honestly rather do Bouchard than Hyman.
Yeah.
I think he's
half
been
the
more
price,
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay, and then like I would lean towards Dallas. I do agree though that this looks tighter than I think people are giving credit for. Tim, Nick, anything game 1? I
guess probably could. I actually think the over 6 is worth a half unit bet.
Okay.
I think the avenues are gonna be there. I think blew out in tonight's game, but I'll be surprised if we see this one go that way. I think we'll see the Stars depth pay off and they'll try to push for offense, but I like the Oilers' chances of putting up some offense in this game 1. So I think we could see the higher scoring early games trend pay off in this matchup.
Yeah, I think I was led that way too. I was a little scared off from what we saw at the result in the Eastern Conference game 1, but yeah, I don't think you can tie the two together, two totally different series. It makes sense because of Edmonton. I said this with Vancouver, and that I thought Vancouver could run with Edmonton, and like I feel similar about Dallas. Like I just think there's the way that their depth works, they're just extremely versatile, and I think they have the ability to expose the Oilers if they start to do if they start to completely sell out for offense. And again, Skinner, giant question mark, and now with the Ottinger being sick, I don't mind it at all.
Okay. So that's the Western Conference final series big picture. Oh, and one thing I'll throw out there, I'm continuing to bet Thomas Harley like first goal scorer and scoring. So I'm just gonna keep doing that because he's just really good, and I think his numbers are always in the 50s for first goal scorer. So I'll play that in game one as well.
And parlayed with what?
Parlayed with India to win the T20 World Cup coming your way starting June 4th. So get those bets in quickly. We got a couple weeks to go, but before we get to the T20s, let's talk Panthers and Rangers game 2. We were off the mark with our handicap for game 1. We thought it would be
whoa. Don't entirely couple me in there. I said,
I was gonna say we were off the mark in game 1 with our handicap, thinking it was gonna be a little bit more open and the over was worth a look. But my thing I was gonna say after that was something I kept seeing around betting circles all day. We weren't alone in that thinking. I think a lot of people were surprised with how that game played out, which was it just never broke open at all. Credit to the Panthers and for the way they defended it, but also credit to the Rangers for the way that they defended. I thought both teams were really good at limiting quality chances. A goal that usually doesn't go in on Shesterkin goes in, and that's ends up being the difference. Bobrovsky was really good. The Panthers, depth lines, that their middle six, their bottom six was really good. Forsling was incredible. Tonight,
he's so good.
He's so good. So do we think, Nick, and you can have your day in court now about game 1, but do you think that we should just look back towards there being more scoring and go back to the over on game 2? Because it's hard to see another game play out that way.
I actually like the under again. I think that they kind of the thing. First off, I think this game could have been way higher scoring than it looked if the first went differently. Who knows how it would have settled in? But I mean, Schneider hits the post. There was a couple awkward, there was that Verhaeghe chance where they had a kind of a 2-on-0, and there was the awkward pass. He kind of tried to headman it at the last second, and then there's a couple other really the pass from behind the net to Tarasenko. I think in the first there was more breakdowns than we kind of saw it. It just feels like they didn't offensively complete the plays, but it seemed like they settled in more and more defensively, and I feel like it seemed like we almost jumped to the later stage in the series where both teams are already fully aware what the stakes are, and we just saw the defensive sharpness, not much messing around. So I kind of feel confident that's going to follow up. And then Bobrovsky looked really, really good. I think if you're going to see Bob play like that, Florida's going to be really tough to score on in this series. And the Panthers did a really good job of not taking penalties. Again, I think you'd be hard pressed if you're a Rangers fan to come up with any missed calls. I think, I don't think the game was badly reffed at all either way. I thought it was really fair. And I think that was it's kind of been a growing point from the Panthers to see that it felt like they knew they don't want to go down that road and get the Rangers power play going and just live with their chances at even strength. So I think we should I kind of think obviously that was the lower end of that with a 3-0 final, but I still feel like this series could just be really tight checking throughout, and kind of think we'll see a comparable game. And I mean, Shesterkin wasn't even that incredible, and that was the score. So I think that there is value on the under again. I think that we actually could just settle into seeing a really low scoring, tight checking series, and maybe this is the one where we start seeing just consistent fives. So yeah, I like the under again in game 2.
Yeah, I got just no feel after that because we also got dished 5 power plays. It's 0 for 5. That should at least help us a little bit. with the over. So to me, it's too difficult. Like you need too much power play help for the over. I feel like the way that 5-on-5 has looked. And so I pretty much have no feel for it. If I had to bet the game, I would bet the Rangers just because I thought that tonight was actually not like if I was a Rangers fan, I would be sounding the alarms. I think that we could for sure come out of here with a split. I thought that they were, that's that tough luck with the own goal and like it was very, very coin flippy. So yeah, if I had to bet, I would bet the Rangers, but I'm more interested to see what happens here if Florida goes up to love and series prices and whatnot. So it's just very difficult. I'm sorry. Maybe I will keep an eye on though, Nick. I know you'll be interested. I'll ask for your help. Is like Bobrovsky saves unders because it seems like New York just to generate it's been a little difficult for them.
Yeah, this looks like another one where you're not going to want to be playing the many shot props to go over. I was happy I didn't really try to go down that road tonight because I feel like no one probably did. So probably thinking unders and low event. And last year's Eastern Conference final, I just looked this up because I was thinking it felt like right out the gates it's just going to be so tight. And it was 3-2 game 1, 2-1 game 2, 1-0 game 3, and then game 4 was the one it was 4-3 final, but it was so close to going under. That was the one with the game tying goal in like the final 2 seconds or whatever, I think. So yeah, I feel like it wouldn't surprise me to just see like a comparable thing because I think still the Panthers first are going to be a really accountable defensive team and they've got Bob in the goal. But the Rangers are defending pretty respectably. It hasn't been overly bad at any point. I don't think that's been like their biggest fault. And obviously in the regular season, they were pretty sharp there. So I think the under is a good look. I'm not going to try to overthink it. I don't mind the Rangers either, Tim. Like I feel like I kind of agree with you there entirely that like, yeah, it wasn't great, but it felt kind of coin flippy. They had their chances at the end. It felt like one of these. I think you see those game ones a lot where there's one team that kind of doesn't feel like too worried. They're like, okay, like that we can get things going here. It felt like some things were going. The third obviously could have gone differently. So yeah, I agree.
It really reminded me of that when the Islanders played the Lightning in 2021, game 1 of that Eastern Conference final. Islanders won, I think 2-0. Or 2-1. The Lightning scored like a late goal, but you could just watch. We were just watching the Lightning play, and we're like, they're just downloading information right now. Like they almost like don't even care like if they win this game or not. And it did feel like both teams were like, oh, we're almost doing that. A couple of anytime goal scorers that kind of popped in my mind throughout this game. Though
Lombo.
I was gonna say Ryan Lomberg to me is.
I knew you were gonna say him, and I love it.
Yeah, like he's going to be double digits to be an anytime scorer. He'll be 50. I think he was 50 tonight to score first. All over the place, getting 2 really good ice. I think that one of Florida's maybe more overlooked edges here is that bottom 6 and the physicality of that bottom 6 against the Rangers with how their bottom 6 is constructed right now. And he just looked damn good. I thought like he was one of Florida's
that fourth
better.
line was excellent.
Yeah, so.
Probably sprinkle on Stenlund too if you're going to do that approach.
Yeah, I would agree. So, I mean, even Cousins had a decent look on a back end, but, and then the other one was Anton Lindell. If he's going to be dealt at like 5-1, I think is always worth a look on the Panthers side. So that's probably where I'll go. All right, I think that's good. So we wrapped up those 2 games. If you want to give out a best bet here. For these Western Conference Final Game 1 or the series Eastern Conference Final Game 2, Tim, what would your pick be?
Oh, I'll go Rangers.
I was going to say we got to stop putting Tim on the spot, Mike.
He's got to be paying attention. He's a professional podcaster. We're always paying attention here. You never know when I'm gonna.
I'm trying to look up conference.
I'm
trying to look up conference finals totals. That's what I'm trying to look up right now.
Okay.
I'm busy.
You want me to go next, Nick, or do you need?
I'm prepared. Whatever you want to do.
All right, I'll go next. I like that Lomberg call. I'm gonna go with Lomberg anytime goal scorer. Yep.
The Lamborghini. I'm gonna go with the under 5.5 in the Panthers Rangers game.
Okay. Thank you for listening. We will be back on Friday after recording Friday afternoon. We'll record our Power Plays videos for the weekend, so that's where you'll catch us. And then you'll hear us again recording Sunday night for Monday. But until then, best of luck with all your bets. Thank you for listening. Rate, review, and subscribe. We had a great review the other day that I'll shout out next time. Remind me. I don't want to do it at the very end of the show, but appreciate that. For Tim and Nick, I'm Michael. Best of luck with all your bets.